Light takes you on a journey where you'll explore the nuances of energy. You'll visit the angelic realms and study the ancient wisdom and teachings of spirituality. We want you to reach within and discover the magnificent being that you came here to be. We help shine God's divine healing light by bringing love, light, and blessings into your world. And now, here is the host of Healing Light, Teri Van Horn.
Teri Van Horn, and I want to thank you so much for being with us today. Today we've got kind of an unusual topic, and that is angels or aliens. Which is it? Now, don't go run off screaming yet, okay? Because what we're going to do is talk about different aspects of history and a lot of things that have gone on that there are just questions. All I'm doing is bringing up the questions. You get to make up your own mind about this. But first, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I am a spiritual mentor and teacher. I teach distant healing. I do a lot of it. I'm a medical intuitive. I also do color, crystal, and vibrational sound healing. And I do a lot of intuitive readings and counseling. I also work with a wonderful, wonderful group of beings called the Fifth Element. And that is a group of angels and ascended masters and guides. They switch out all the time. So you never know exactly who all is in the group. Every once in a while, I'll get a definitive about, who is giving me a message. But they're wonderful because they're bringing us a lot of messages of love and light. And they're also bringing us a lot of messages about some things that we need to do right here, right now, today, to help with our planet and help with everybody who's on it. Now, they bring beautiful messages all the time. One of the main ones, though, that they really want us to focus on, and I am going to hit on that for just a minute, because it is so important right now. And that is about praying for our planet. Now, it doesn't take, a genius or a rock star to figure out that we are in some deep trouble right now. People are on edge. The planet is just doing like weird, outrageous stuff. Mother Nature's been going crazy. There's a lot going on. Now, those who adhere to the Bible exclusively are saying, again, as they have said for 2,000 years, these are the last days. Well, I don't believe that. Okay? These are not the last days. We're not coming to an end, but we are coming to an end of a cycle. The Mayans kept giving us, their calendar, and they gave us, warnings about changes and that it was the coming up to the end. They didn't mean the end of time. It was the end of a cycle because the Mayans were really big on cycles. Now, I think they were off by a few years. The Mayans really were never off that much, but I think what happened was that 2012 was a time when one cycle was ending and then another one started. And this other one is all about the word disclosure. Now, disclosure can be used in a lot of context. If you read a lot of alternative media, then disclosure means, aliens are coming down and the little green guys are going to come, be our best friends or take over us. Depends on who you read about, listen to. But it's also going to be about disclosure on truth. Who hasn't got busted on something that they have done that has been wrong? If they haven't gotten caught yet, they're going to. That is really, in this context, the meaning of disclosure. People are getting caught. You know, all that, hidden stuff that they kept doing behind the scenes, all that's going to be over with. They are getting busted continuously. This whole presidential thing, oh my God, this election is going to be nothing but disclosures. There have already been a lot of them. Okay, people have been caught, dropped out of the race because they got caught at stuff. Now we have two candidates that have clinched their nominations. One's in trouble for the possibility of fraud with one of his organizations. The other one is facing indictment, the FBI, for causing links in national security, and who knows where else that's going to lead. I mean, some of the stuff they could even take as far as calling it treason. Just depends on whose day it is, I guess, to make those decisions. So, our candidates are caught with some of the things that they have done that have been wrong and unethical. The third candidate that we have still ongoing, he hasn't been caught at anything as far as I'm aware, but his wife got caught bankrupting the organization that she worked with, and she had to resign. So you see, people are getting caught at like everything. If you're doing something wrong, just watch out and you better cover your bases, because your day and your time is coming. People are getting caught. So that is part of the big disclosure that's going on right now. And what's going to happen is going to bring us a more transparent society, really and truly transparent, not just someone who's giving you lip service, because there is a big difference between the two. But that is just part of the issue and part of the problem right now. We have more to deal with. And that's what I really, really want to talk about, is the additional stuff that we're dealing with right now. Part of it is the planet and Mother Nature, and part of it is people just being flat out nuts. Everybody's offended about everything, and it doesn't really matter what you do. Somebody's going to get upset about it and throw a hissy fit. I was laying in bed one night trying to go to sleep, but I kept getting stuff popping into my head. And I have been tasked with, trying to spread the word about healing the planet for the last couple of years. So people who listen to me kind of get tired of it, I'm sure. But this is part of what I'm supposed to be doing. So rather than, doing it halfway, I'm doing it. And I am going to continue to ask you to pray to heal the planet. No, things are not happening just because it is the natural course of events. The end of the world is not coming. It is not inevitable. Things can change. Collective consciousness can change anything. And that's something that we need to really start acting on. Now, we have had floods everywhere. Have we not this year? I live in Texas. Thank the good Lord, I live on top of a hill that has very good drainage. But even at that, 2 weeks later, I still have water in my pastures because we had over 24 inches of rain in less than 24 hours. Actually, it was closer to like 12 hours. And then it just kept going after that. Now, I've not had rain for about a week, but I still have water in my pastures. It is that saturated. People lost homes. And the thing is that the floods that affected me 2 weeks ago were the second wave that hit Texas, because there was a first wave about a week or two before that. and it flooded out a whole bunch of people. And then we got hit. And now, even though there hasn't been very much rain, other people about 50 miles from me had to evacuate their homes just recently because now all of the rivers in their area are so swollen and expanding that they're flooding out neighborhoods and communities. So you see, it just keeps going. Paris, my gosh, they had to move paintings and sculptures in the Louvre because Paris is so flooded right now. And I also have seen video in Germany where they are just completely flooded out. And all of a sudden, water just rushing through the streets, picking up cars and people and trash and everything else. On top of that, earthquakes like crazy, volcanoes like crazy. There's a lot going on this planet. Also, we have got some, rumblings where we normally don't have rumblings in the U.S. The New Madrid Fault. If you don't know anything about this fault line, get on Google immediately and look up the New Madrid Fault. It can, if that earthquake happens, it can split the U.S. in half. There'll be a lot of land, a lot of lives lost. It basically kind of goes down the Mississippi. Just, that's an easy way to describe it. But it's a big one. But you see, what happens is the planet is in such turmoil, and the stress from the planet, from what I've been told, is affecting the people. We are connected. Okay, so the planet is under a tremendous amount of stress because of the abuse that it has received from us. And now the stress of the planet is affecting humanity and making people crazy. We got to work on this.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
Hi everyone, this is Shay Parker, the host of Best of the Best, which airs live right here on IOM Radio every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm super excited to bring you expert guest hosts, spiritual discussions, free psychic readings, and so much more. I can promise that you will not want to miss this one-of-a-kind, fun, yet touching, down-to-earth show. Join us every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific on OTR FM. This is Shay Parker, and I can't wait to see you there.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
And aliens in a couple of minutes, but first, this group of guides and angels called the Fifth Element decided that they wanted to kind of jump in today. And so I really wasn't planning on sharing information from them, but, they had other plans. So we're going to go with what they had to say first, and then we're going to talk about the other stuff. Now, basically what I was talking about is that we're in a big, ugly, nasty cycle. Okay? We have this beautiful planet. We have beautiful humanity that was created to live on this planet. Beautiful animals. Everything was wonderful. And then eventually things started getting a little bit more corrupted and, falling apart. Humanity started doing things to the planet and basically destroying the planet. Strip mining. Can't get much worse than that. But these things happened. Now we're doing fracking. We're doing all sorts of stuff. And then people can't understand why we've got all these earthquakes or all these volcanoes. The planet is under a tremendous amount of pressure. And why? Because she's trying to cleanse herself. Okay? Now, start with people. Well, it started with the planet. We got people. People mess with the planet. The planet's trying to heal itself. Okay? But in the process, we have a lot going on energetically with the planet. Now, not everyone can feel. A lot of people can. They can feel the stresses and the strains in the planet. They can feel when things go on. Oh, there are days whenever I get up and I just have this feeling. And I will immediately start looking on a lot of the news sites, trying to figure out what it is, because there was something major. I can feel it. So there are things that are happening. People are feeling it, but they don't know it. Think of it as being like, that high-pitched whistle that only dogs can hear. Okay, basically, it's like a really low pitch. We can't hear it, but we're feeling it, and we're sensing that vibrational frequency. And it is stressed. And that is what is causing all of these weather conditions and all these problems with the planet. And that stress and that rumbling, that low vibrational rumbling, is what's getting people on edge. There are definitely a lot of other reasons why people are nuts right now, okay? But I would say that the majority is the fact that there is a low vibrational, low frequency shaking and rattling going on in the planet, and it's affecting people. And then it's making people more agitated. I can see this sometimes in animals whenever it's a little bit higher frequency. And if there's a rumbling that's going on around my house, whether it's, like work on another piece of property or something like that, my animals will be more agitated. You can see it. I read about a town that is actually in Canada, but they are like across the river from a steel factory that's in the U.S. The steel factory hasn't got any restrictions on noise, so they are constantly emitting a hum or rumbling sound. And the people in Canada, just across the river, are being sick. They can't sleep. They have headaches. They have all sorts of mental and physical issues because of that rumbling constantly. That's what's going on right now. So whenever I say to pray for the healing of the planet, what's going to happen is the planet starts to calm down and lets go of that rumbling, that low frequency that's messing with us. And then people will start calming down. Now, I'm also not saying that you need to pray for the planet and just say the hell with all the people and all the animals. Okay? You can actually pray for 2 or 3 things at once. Doesn't have to just be one exclusively. So pray for it all. But don't just think that the planet is going through heaves and changes, and that we can't change that, because we can. Collectively, when there's enough prayer, enough higher consciousness, we can raise the frequency of the planet so that she doesn't feel like she has to shake everybody off. Now, this is a big deal. If you're on my Facebook page, you're going to see something about it every single day because it's that important. I have not spelled it out to everybody on that page yet, the way that I've just explained it to you, but I'm going to. I need to just sit down and write the blog thing to do it. But we need to pray for the planet and for each other. And we can get this stuff settled down. But until we believe that we can make a change, we're not going to. And things will progressively get worse. So it's up to you. I have told people for 2 years now that humanity has been climbing that mountain and we're at the top. And we have two choices. We can go to the right or we can go to the left. One direction is going to give you that whole end of the world Armageddon scenario that so many people think that is inevitable. The other path can take us into that millennium of love, peace, and harmony. The lion laying down with the lamb thing. We have a choice. Humanity can choose which one we want. And we have to make that decision, and we have to go with it. And we have to go with it full force. So if you believe that, we are just doomed, we're going to hell in a handbasket, and there's nothing we can do about it, then by God, you're going to create your own prophecy. But if you believe that we can change, and that we can heal the earth and change humanity, which I believe very strongly that we can do, and I've been told that we can do it. But we have to do it, and we have to believe in it. Can't do this one by myself. All I can do is take care of the people that I am immediately around and to share the word. But I need others to do it too. So that is the message from the fifth element. So they apologize for hijacking the first half of the program, but that's okay. We needed to share that message, and we needed to get out to as many people as possible. But let's talk about disclosure. Disclosure is basically revealing the truth. And there have been a lot of questions about angels or aliens. Which one is it? Well, in the interest of disclosure, I will tell you a not so closely guarded secret about a lot of people who are highly spiritual. Now, not talking about highly religious, I am talking about highly spiritual people. Okay, you ready for our big secret? We are all the biggest group of nerds you've ever seen in your life. Okay? I don't think there's an exception. Everybody that I know, okay, famous or not, are a bunch of nerds. Now, by nerds, I mean that you can catch any one of us at any given time with a big bowl of popcorn, binge watching sci-fi. We love it. It's like Star Wars, Star Trek, Firefly, Doctor Who, you name it. All of that stuff. And of course, the ultimate is Ancient Aliens. I mean, Giorgio Tsoukalos, you can't get any better than Giorgio. Giorgio cracks me up. Just wish I could get that much volume in my hair. But, Giorgio brings up a lot of valid points with Ancient Aliens. Is that, how did we get this stuff done? How did humanity, with rocks and sticks, create things like the Sphinx or the pyramids? And then, how did the pyramids get all over the planet? We're going to talk about the Bosnian pyramids in a couple of weeks. But, we've got pyramids everywhere. We have alignments in all these. Even today, we couldn't align the Great Pyramid in Giza as well as it is whenever it was built. with north-south. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened, in history. And it's always kind of been a question, is it angels or aliens? Now, the other thing about a lot of us in spirituality, the fact that we are nerds, is that we also go back the other direction. We go back to not only sci-fi, but we really like the fantasy stuff. Middle Ages and Renaissance, we're big on that. After all, you've got unicorns, you got fairies, you got the mermaids, all sorts of stuff. And we focus on all of that. Now, why is it? We're more open-minded to it, for one, I think. Two, I don't know, we're just a big collection of nerds. But there's something about it. There's something about all of that. I mean, and I am truly one of the bigger ones. I mean, I stood in line opening night, 1977, for Star Wars. Within a month, give or take a few days, I had a pirated copy on VHS of the first Star Wars. By the time I saw my second Star Wars movie, my statement about it was, of course, that it was incredibly awesome because of the special effects. But I also realized that it was probably the most spiritual thing I had ever seen on film. Now, think about that, because what happened was it opened me up immediately. The Force was universal spirit. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and my all-time favorite, which is Avatar. We'll be right back.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Hi, this is Teri Van Horn, and you're listening to Healing Light. Today we're talking about angels or aliens. Now, before we had our break, I was talking about how by the second Star Wars movie, I was saying that was the most spiritual film I had ever seen in my life. And I'm sticking to that, okay? Until Avatar came along. But we'll talk about that one in a sec. But when you're talking about the Force, feel the Force. How many of us who do energy healing have not felt the Force? We can all feel it, you don't have to be special to do energy healing or to do anything intuitive. We can all do that. But we all feel that. And then, you know, we did the first three, which were 4, 5, and 6. And then we went into 1, 2, and 3, which were like all dark and, like awful. Especially the third one. I hated that one. But, it was still about feeling the force and giving yourself over to spirit. It was amazing. Of course, it also had some bizarre looking aliens, but there are a lot of schools of thought on that. But anyway, now let's jump over to Avatar. Now, Avatar blew me away. Because if you watch Avatar, you will, when you're watching the planet, okay? Not the bad military guys. But when you're watching the planet and how they connect with spirit and the trees and the plants and the animals and everything else, you are almost seeing the visions that I had of Lemuria before Avatar came out. I mean, yeah, they did the pictures and they did all the special effects and, created the creatures and all of that. But the essence of it was what I saw of Lemuria. So yes, Nerd Teri is literally holding her breath until we get the sequels to Avatar. Hey, I'm only getting like a partial glimpse of this. If I can get, these guys to go with the whole thing, then I'm ready to watch it. But see, when we see things like that, and we're watching all of these different sci-fi things, we're seeing how they are connecting themselves energetically to others, and how we are opening ourselves up to all beings all over the world, all over the universe. Now, when we get to things like ancient aliens, once we get past Giorgio and his poofy hair, he's got some amazing stuff. When you look at it, the Nazca lines, I mean, seriously, you can't see the Nazca lines from the ground. You have to be in the air. Those people did not have a mechanism to be in the air. So they were drawing those pictures for something or somebody. Teotihuacan, I always say that one wrong. I have a problem with it. Teotihuacan, whatever. They have murals of people, gods, who look like they have spacesuits on. Same thing with ancient Egypt. Same thing. In the Bible, it talks about how we have these beings, these angels, these beings who came to earth to help us in many ways. Now, true, it doesn't spell out, that they built the Sphinx and all the pyramids and things like that. But you have to ask yourself, when Elijah went up into the heavens in his fiery chariot with all of the wheels and the spinning and the lights and all this kind of stuff, really, was it a chariot pulled by horses? Or was that something else? And by the way, full disclosure, I was totally transformed by reading the book Chariots of the Gods. Okay? And Eric von Daniken brings up a lot of amazing points in that book. He doesn't really come up with answers. He has like a billion questions in that book for you to think. And that's kind of what this is about. Is let's think about it. Angels have been described in the Bible and other religious texts as beings from another dimension who come and who have always been here to help us, to help and serve mankind. They've helped us in our development. They bring us messages from spirit. And, there are also stories about how, beings have come down from the heavens to bring us fire. I think that one came from the Aborigines. So we have a lot of different stories throughout history and every culture about these wonderful, benevolent beings who come from another dimension to help humanity. Now, in religious texts, those are referred to as angels. But if you look at all the, sci-fi nerd people, then they're saying, but aliens come from another dimension and they came in and helped us. So which is it? And it's a great question. The way that the ancients described those who came to help us could fit anything. It could be someone in a spacesuit. I mean, when you look at the Dogon people, check them out. The Dogons in Africa. It was one of the last cultures that we had access to mess up with. And the Dogons actually, in part of their ceremonies and the things that they do, they're always talking about the sky people, just like the Hopi are. But they would have these costumes that they had created themselves to mimic the gods. And if you look at those costumes and those things that they wear with this big, huge, giant thingy over your head and stuff like that, it could very easily resemble a spaceship or a spacesuit. It could resemble another being / creature, whatever, that had to have breathing apparatus to be here on this planet. To me, it doesn't matter whether it is angels or aliens. I am still going to see and visualize angels as the stereotypical, design. The big wings, the glowing halo. But whenever you look at it and you really study a lot of the books and a lot of, watch Ancient Aliens, because they even have some shows on this. I haven't watched them lately, so I'm not sure what they've had on, but they've talked about it because we show in ancient and, Renaissance art how angels have this thing over their head and it's all glowing. Now, it could be a halo, could be some kind of other device that they might need to help them breathe. But of course, they do show angels and they show these gods that have come in to help us as, for the most part, resembling people. The biggest exceptions, there are a few in the Mayan cultures and the Aztec cultures that have a little bit different form. And then the Egyptians had some of their gods, like Thoth, that they have animal heads on a human body. So, it's really interesting and fascinating when you look at this from a completely open mind, open standpoint about, which was it? Was it aliens? Was it angels? And in my opinion, I don't really care. They are beings that have been helping us. Now, angels, of course, are considered to be divine because they are coming from God or from spirit. Aliens, well, guess what? God had to create them too. So if they're out there, which I have never seen any, so, I've seen lots of videos, lots of stories, lots of pictures, but nothing definitive. But, they were created by God or spirit as well, just like we were, just like the angels were. Now, whenever you get into it with the whole alien thing, and I totally get confused with them, but they have all these different species. Like they've got so many different aliens now that, it's like amazing. They've got the little guys that are like very small and kind of gray with the big, huge eyes. And then they have some that are really tall and thin that are kind of like more of a white color. They've got some that they call reptilians that, look like, I guess, giant lizards or something. I've even like seen stuff about lizard people. There are a lot of different kinds that different classifications, some are good, some are bad. Some are just kind of like, over there watching. But it's fascinating to really open up and see, okay, what if? What if those beings who came down actually were from another dimension or from another planet in our universe? Now, ever since I was a small child, I was like always out there looking, up in the sky, looking at the stars, wondering if, any aliens were going to land in my backyard because I really, really, really wanted to see them. I wanted to see that flying saucer. But, there's always been like stories about them. But it's always been, kind of like the crazy people believe in this. But when you look at old paintings, and old, I mean like, hundreds of years old, some of the masters, when you look at some of those paintings, you will see that they have something actually painted in the sky. I've seen it in the Mona Lisa. I have seen it in a couple of works where Gabriel is coming down to tell Mother Mary that she's pregnant. I've seen them in a lot of different old paintings. So it's really interesting. Now, when we get back, we're going to talk about that just a little bit more and some wonderful, exciting things that are coming up.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
Time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Hi there, this is Teri Van Horn, and you're listening to Healing Light. And so we've been talking about angels or aliens. Really, which was it in history who came down and helped early humanity? Was it a being from, quote, heaven, or was it a being from another planet or another dimension? When you look at the actual definition of angels or aliens, it's pretty much the same. They're both from another dimension because they're not from here. So that makes them, and they come in, they help us, and then they leave and they disappear. So it's really, fascinating when you look at it from that standpoint with open eyes and no biases, no judgments. So my question to you is, what would you do if you found out that it was aliens rather than the, halo wing wearing angels? In one aspect and one theory that I heard that was really fascinating, the way we came up with, or the old masters who came up with the images of angels, they had the halo, which was something glowing around their head. And then they had these things on their back. Could it have been like air tanks or equipment, kind of like what scuba divers wear? But they envisioned it as being like wings folded up. And so when they did their paintings, they had the angels with their wings extended in all of their glory. There are a lot of different thoughts about it and a lot of different ways to look at it. But regardless of how we choose to look at it, they were still benevolent beings who came in and who helped humanity. Now, there were some instances where the angels came in and caused a lot of problems. We talked about that last week when we were talking about the fallen angels who came here, the watchers. They were supposed to be here watching us, helping us, protecting us. And all of a sudden they discovered that, human women were kind of hot, and they started breeding with the human women who created the Nephilim, who are the giants, and caused all sorts of problems and wreaked havoc here on the planet. And then we had to have the flood to get rid of them. Was that angels, or was it something else? So there are different ways to look at it, and I'm not going to try to convince anybody of anything other than be open. What do I think it is? I have no idea, honestly. But I like learning about the different thoughts, the different ways that people look at it, the different theories. Were these, benevolent beings who came from another planet, maybe more advanced than us? I mean, honestly, it's pretty egotistical to think that God created this enormous, huge universe and only populated one planet. I mean, think about how bizarre that would be. Think about it in a different way. What if God created this enormous, huge planet here, Earth, and only put people on one small island? What if he did that? He only populated Maui. Okay, a lot of people think that's, paradise and heaven anyway. But that's the whole concept. That's what I'm talking about. Did he create this entire planet and only put people on one small island? No, he didn't. People were all over. Culture, developed all over this planet, on almost every continent. So why would we be the only inhabited planet in the universe? It just doesn't make any sense. Sounds a little egotistical, like, oh, we're so fabulous that, he just did us and then stopped with perfection. I can't imagine if God was here to be a creator, he would create. Michelangelo was here to be an amazing sculptor and painter. Did he stop at one piece? No. He did others. He kept going. So that's what I'm talking about. Be open to different possibilities. You don't have to subscribe to one or the other. You can subscribe to the theory that I have, which is both. I think there were angels who came and who work directly with God, who come in and help us. But I also think that there were probably other planets that are inhabited, and maybe they came out and explored too. Who knows? I haven't seen the little blue guys, or the little gray guys, or the green ones, so I don't know for sure. But I'm open to learning and exploring and expanding my mind, and I think that's the most important aspect of it. And speaking of which, I'm going to give you a little bit of a heads up. It's not ready yet, okay? But OMTimes has created a forum, and it's their experts. And what you're going to be able to do is to sign up for live online classes with the OMTimes experts. Now, I'm really excited about doing this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And what's cool is that you can do it and interact with us during the classes. We're going to have audio and video and chat rooms and everything, so we will be able to interact with each other. Or if you can't do it because of other commitments or, time things, you can still sign up and watch the class later on. So this is going to be really exciting. I can't wait to do it. This is part of what we're going to do, the Healing Light Spiritual Academy. I've been planning on doing this. Now OMTimes is doing it, and so that's how I'm going to have my online classes. Really excited about that. It's probably going to start in July, and I'm already working on class topics. So check it out. Now, next week we're going to talk about the blue avians. We talked about them a little bit. These beings supposedly came to Earth to help humanity, but they were like 8-9 feet tall, blue, looked kind of like birds, like Thoth, okay, the ancient Egyptian thing. And so the question about them is, were they real? Where do they come from? And what is their message? I actually have one of those as a guide, which is going to be really, really cool. That's going to be fun to talk about. Also, I want to do a plug for Humanity Healing. Okay? Humanity Healing does an amazing job saving lives. You can find it, you can Google them and find them. humanityhealing.org, I believe it is. Or you can do it .net. They go out and they rescue children, usually, who are albino. Because albino children, you're not even going to believe this, okay? But there are actually news reports that came out this week about them, that they are more and more popular to kidnap and kill and use their bones for magical powders and cures. I know, totally sick, totally disgusting, all right? They are humans. They just don't have any pigment. But Humanity Healing, that's one of the biggest things that they do, is that they go out, find these children, get them, and save their lives. It's a huge job, and it's an expensive job. And obviously, they don't have a lot of supporters in some of those countries where people are hunting down albino children. So they could really use our financial help to do this. And who knows, they can also probably use volunteers to help as well. But contact Chris or Leanne with Humanity Healing and help them out because of the amazing work that they do. And it's so very important. Now, if you are interested in connecting with me, which I would love, I am still doing personal sessions for healing or readings or coaching. You can find all that information on my website at healinglightonline.com, or you can find information about that on my Facebook page called Healing Light. Now you can get links to the books. You can, find all sorts of information. And we're coming up on the summer solstice in just 2 weeks. So I'm going to do some wonderful specials for that, where I will be doing readings, healing sessions. I'm going to be doing ascension activations and all sorts of awesome stuff for people, during that time period. Yes, there is a charge, but I have kept it intentionally very low at $33.33 because we're going with the master numbers. But you can already sign up for that. So thank you so much for being with us today. I've enjoyed it. And if you want to listen to any of our other programs, you can always find them on the OMTimes archives. Talk to you next week.